Hey everyone, here's Thomas once again, this time responding to Colins' new video on Antichrist and Imam al-Mahdi, which he recently uploaded. It was interesting to hear how both Muslims and Christians are trapped in an imagination of the future. A special person will appear who will solve all the problems for them. Now, Colins analyzed both the reference of this article on which he spoke in his video. What I'm going to do is to explain their viewers the reality of the case about Muslim Jesus or Isa, which Muslims are waiting to come, that he will return. In Hadith, we find multiple narrations about Isa or Jesus, and some of them are like Volume 3, Book 43, number 656, narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Apostle said, "The hour will not be established until the son of Mary, that is Jesus, descends among you as a just ruler. He will break the cross, kill the pigs, and abolish the jizya tax. Money will be in abundance so that nobody will accept it as charitable gifts." Or in Volume 4, Book 55, number 657, narrated again by Abu Huraira, Allah's Apostle said, "By him in whose hands my soul is, surely Jesus the son of Mary will soon descend among you and will judge mankind justly as a just ruler. He will break the cross and kill the pigs, and there will be no jizya, that is taxation taken from non-Muslim. Money will be in abundance so that nobody will accept it, and a single prostration to Allah in prayer will be better than the whole world and whatever is it in it." Abu Huraira added that if you wish, you can recite the verses of the Holy Book, and there is none of the people of the scriptures, Jews and Christians, but must believe in him, that is Jesus, as an apostle of Allah and a human being, before his death, and on the day of judgment he will be a witness against them, although they already accept him. So now when I was reading Hadith, I was thinking that there is no mentioning of Jesus' second return in the Quran, absolutely nothing. It's really amazing that, and it was also strange to notice that Allah supposedly took time to explain Jesus' life in detail, like his mother Mary, his miraculous birth, his early age and his ministry, and his so-called crucifixion story, etc. But yet he forgot to mention his second return, keeping in mind the wonderful and colorful stories mentioned in Hadith which describe his second coming and the victory of Islam attached with it. Have you ever pondered why? The reason is simple, that it's quite possible these so-called hadiths which describe the second coming of Jesus are actually fabricated. Before I investigate these things, I would like to mention few points. Colin said in his video that all people will accept Jesus' rule before the day of judgment. Wrong. Allah mentioned in multiple places in Quran that he will punish non-believers in hell, and some of them will remain therein forever. So saying that before the day of judgment everybody will be Muslim is wrong. Second, Jesus will return, and what will he do? Muslim scholars made some fantastic stories about him, and some of them can be found on the many internet websites or in the books. I will quote some of these links here. I want to focus on the main point on this video. First off, Muslim Isa is not the historical Jesus of Christian or the Jerusalem, as they are two very different characters. The Muslim Isa is merely an invention based on the so-called soul revelations of God to Muhammad. If Muhammad was making all these things up, then there is absolutely no way to figure he was talking about Jesus of Nazareth. Muhammad knew in his vicinity and near his home in Najran, the Christians were living, and Muhammad had contact with them. There are few evidence of, for example, the picture of Christianity which the Quran present to us shows that what the conception of it Muhammad had from his own limited experience. His knowledge of the faith was at least powerfully affected by the teaching of the so-called Orthodox party, who styled Mary the Mother of God, and by the abuse of a term so easily misunderstood, opened by the way their worship of a Jewish median in place of God Most High. The effect of this misconception is clearly pointed out by Ibn Ishaq in telling the story of the embassy sent by the Christians of Najran, who he says belonged to the emperor's faith, to Muhammad in Medina at 632 AD. He tells us of the ambassador that, like all the Christians, they say Jesus is God, the Son of God, and the third of three. And they prove further that he is the third of three, namely God, Christ, and Mary. Of course, this is not true account of the language used, but it represents correctly what Muhammad understood to be the doctrine held by these Christians. It's clearly from following verses of the Quran. Verily, now they have blasphemed who say God is a third of three. This is Surah 5 Al-Ma'idah 77. verse 77. And when God shall say, O Jesus, son of Mary, hast thou said unto man, take me and my mother as two gods beside God? This is from Surah 5 again and verses 116. There is also no proof that Muhammad ever read Gospels ever, otherwise he had a different view. But what he heard from some of these Christian sects who were living around him can be seen in the Quran today. Like legend of the companion of the cave, story of Virgin Mary, and a story of the childhood of Jesus, etc. So his knowledge about Jesus was merely fictitious, so to say, and from these reasons some of the Muslim scholars like Javed Ahmadi of Pakistan, or one which I am going to present here in this video, I'm going to quote him, is on the belief that Jesus' second coming is just a myth and he was never mentioned to come back in the Quran is the most important reason to reject all the hadiths in this regard. I will read his conclusion here, and I will also give link of his page where you can read the whole article and the reason why he thinks is important to have such belief. He said, and I quote, and number one, that Quran does not state that Jesus will return to establish a religion of truth throughout the earth. This fact will not have much relevance for those who believe the hadiths to form the foundation of Islam along with the Quran. But if one believes, as I do, that the Quran is the foundation while the Hadith simply builds upon it, then the omission of the reference to a return of Jesus from the Quran becomes much more significant. The return of a past prophet and the global victory of Islam is such an important event in the history of humanity that a reference is expected to it in the Quran if it is the foundation of Islam. The Quran thrice promises Islam's global victory in 9:33, 48:28 and 61:9, but never hints that this victory will come when Jesus returns. Point number two, Muwatta also does not mention the return of Jesus. In his article, he said, in my article I showed that if Imam Malik knew of the traditions of Jesus' return and he believed in them, he would have no reason to omit them. Hence there are only two possibilities. Either the Imam did not know about these traditions or he did not believe in them. In both cases the authenticity of the tradition is cast into doubt. Malik wrote his Muwatta after the middle of the 2nd century, about 150 years after the Prophet. During this time the belief in the return of the Jesus, an interesting, fascinating and important belief, would have spread far enough for a man of Malik's knowledge to come to know about it. And if Malik knew about it but did not believe in it, then its judgment in the matter carries some weight, since he lived it a considerable time before Bukhari and Muslim. Number 3. In Bukhari all the hadith about the return of Jesus have chain that passed through Ibn Shabib and then after one more link through Abu Huraira. If the Isnad method was very dependable, to this would have been acceptable, but given the fact that the Isnad method has not produced two dependable results, we cannot put too much confidence in the reliability of these hadiths. There is a distinct possibility that Al-Zuhri heard these hadiths from not too reliable sources and then transmitted them without mentioning the sources, as he was at the time want to do. This will explain why these ahadith are not found in Muwatta. Imam Malik might have heard these traditions from Al-Zuhri, but he did not put much trust in them since no reliable sources was given by Al-Zuhri. Later, by the time of Bukhari and Muslim, these traditions had been attributed to the Prophet through Abu Huraira, and then they become acceptable. Now, by the way, how is possible, if these stories of Jesus are true, that he will act not on his previous ministry, but he will follow the Muhammad, for example, and that he will break the cross and abolish the jizya, where in the Quran jizya was ordered by Allah to be taken from the non-believers. In Surah 9 verse 29, Allah said, "Fight those who believe not in Allah nor the last day, nor hold the forbidden which hath been forbidden by Allah and his messengers, nor acknowledge the religion of truth, even if they are of the people of the book, until they pay jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued." So it means on the second return of Isa, Jesus, he will modify the Quranic teachings and abandon some of the Quranic messages. So much of the following of the Quran and the following of Muhammad. Even he will have a big problem to explain when someone will show him the verses in which Allah categorically mentioned that Jesus was a messenger of the people of the Bani Israel and not for the whole world. Thank you very much for listening, and peace be with you all.